Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week, featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Nephew Business Banking, along with Denisha Boston Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand marketing and digital agency. And we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview top business leaders in the industry. Now, you know, when it comes time to relax, movies and dinner are the perfect way to recharge. And we have the perfect person to help us with that. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is our guest, actor, producer, chef, Joe Zaso. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Welcome. Thank you.
So Joe is an actor, producer, chef, and cookbook author, originally from Long Island, Belrose, Manhasset Hills, Mineola, Rockville Center, and now resides in Manhattan. He's a vet actor and producer of many low-budget horror films that are made in the U.S., as well as Italy, Germany, and England. So he's a world traveler. Joe has been frequently focusing on his cookbook work and on cooking lately under the guise of CAFE HIMBO. We'll talk about that a little later. And he's appeared in several award-winning short films such as Hotel Bleu with TOOTSIE's Julie Halston, who's also originally a Long Islander, and on stage as Marc Anthony in the Off-Broadway comedy Charles Busch's Cleopatra. His website, we can go over that later too. Well, Joe, welcome to the show. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to hear. Good morning.
Good to hear you anyway. So you've always been a foodie as long as I've known you. Tell me a little bit about how you started developing this into cooking.
Well, I mean, being Italian, I grew up around a lot of food and a lot of cooking, and I've always found that to be a comfort. And I've always enjoyed cooking. That's just one form of relaxation and such. And I've been on a lot of movie sets where I've been forced to cook just out of necessity, as catering and such. And just and even my past, I would do cooking gigs, actually, like at department stores just to pay the bills. And all these things all come together in that I love food and I love to cook. Not as much eating, believe it or not. I like to make a nice meal for everyone, but I'll end up eating 2 bites. But your pleasure is more important than mine, particularly so. But yeah, I'm always surrounded by food. I love supermarkets. I'm weird.
Well, I guess that's why you stay in shape and why everybody around you gets fat. So
now, that's what I do. Cooking for everyone. So.
Now, you mentioned the movie sets a lot. So obviously you've been around a lot of celebs, both in B movies, and you've also done some A-list stuff too. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your any celebrity encounters that you've had?
My celebrity encounters. Let's see. Well, as far as my cooking show, I would work with Catherine Mary Stewart, who, as you may know from Night of the Comet and Weekend at Bernie's and such. She's a friend. She's a great friend. I see her all the time. And Britannia Alda, who you might know from a gazillion, but you've probably seen this person a million times, just never realized it. She's been in Mommy Dearest and The Deer Hunter and Rosemary's Baby, and somehow she's in Dressed to Kill, which you can find out some other time. But she's a good friend, too, and she's lovely. Those are 2 very interesting people I've worked with. Mm-hmm. I did a little cameo in Wolf of Wall Street, and I got to work with Margot from I, Tonya. Her last name escapes me. Forgive me.
Harley Quinn.
So that was
Margot Robbie.
Right.
Yeah.
Robbie. That's it. So I get to work with her for an evening, and I had a lot of actors I grew up watching on TV, movies on HBO with my brother. I'd never would have thought were more than just actors. I end up meeting at these conventions or just talking to them about their cats or going to get a coffee for them. It's kind of surreal. It's actually very, but that's the interesting thing about knowing all these celebrities and how they all kind of mix into my world. I'm cooking with them, I'm hanging with them, discussing movies with them, and so it is interesting how this path has kind of gone the serpentine way,
Yeah. I mean, that's you see, you made a lot of connections in that. Now, you've translated this love of food and now necessity of cooking into parlaying that into kind of an author career as well. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what happened 10 years ago, that long, Jessica Hall, who you know from Suspiria, wrote a cookbook called the Krabby Cookbook, which really inspired me. It was very fun. And it inspired me to have my own little kind of blog. And I didn't know, it was a freezing cold winter month, and I out really because it was too cold. So I had this idea to do this blog, which led to a little cooking show, which led to people saying, why don't you get some of your celebrity friends to be on this little YouTube series, which was just for fun, and then that led to a cookbook, which led to, it's like one thing, it had become a brand name by now. So it's almost become like a running joke, which just kept evolving and evolving. So that's where this came. I had no idea it was just going to happen. I ended up calling it Cafe Himbo because there are a lot of horror film journalists who call me a horror himbo. So I had to come up with a name, and that was the name.
So tell me a little bit more about that. So Himbo, I mean that because people ask me what is Cafe Himbo? So it's like
a male bimbo. That's basically, it's a male bimbo, and I'm a male bimbo of a lot of horror films. So basically, probably because I take my shirt off a lot. But
yeah. So you're kind of
I play monsters 90% of the time. So
you were the cheesecake in the movies, and now you're serving the cheesecake.
Basically,
I got
the
you.
Screen Queens can do it, so can I. So that's all I have to say.
Now,
there's a market.
Yes. Well, you're on your this is your fourth cookbook now?
Number 6, actually.
Number 6.
And for one that's hardcover and in color, so I guess you might say this is like the first, legit one, really. So
very cool.
And it's coming out. It's coming out in a few weeks. It's going to be at the end of July, so you will see it.
Excellent. Now, what celebrity did you really enjoy cooking with, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my, so many. Oh geez. Well, I have to say definitely Catherine Mary Stewart. I'm trying to think of the other.
Now she's from the
Tanya.
Catherine Mary Stewart is from Apple, from The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, she was on Days of Our Lives. She was Kayla.
Right.
She's done a lot of, right these days. She's doing Hallmark movies, so she has her little fans out there. She in fact wrapped on some Christmas movie in Canada, so you'll be seeing that soon. I didn't know that she was there in Ontario. That's what I can tell you.
Okay. All right.
And but also people from Dario Argento movies like Demons. Although I haven't actually cooked with them, there's a lot of people from Suspiria, for example, like Stefania Cassini, if you know any of these people are. Irene Miracle from Midnight Express and Inferno. Just this Maroney, who appeared with Kathy in Night of the Comet, and she was in the Chopping Mall and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, it's an odd mix of people, but I find that cook really brings people together. As much as I hate to admit it, I think people do more people admire horror films more than they do. Admire cooking more than they do horror films, and that I think is more universal. And I find that a lot of horror fans or wives or husbands, what have you, turn out to be chefs and they enjoy it as relaxation. It's amazing how many are, and you're out there, you just don't know it.
Very cool, very cool. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is actor, producer, chef Joe Zaso. All right, so tell me a little bit about your favorite dishes. Make me hungry.
My favorite dishes? Sure. My favorite dishes are, really, believe it or not, are appetizers. I think they're the easiest thing to make, and they're fun, and they're always, it's not too committal. It's not like you have to make this very carefully designed roast or something. I mean, I call them in the book. I call them hot finger food. So that's my little term for it. But anything that's easy and just fun to eat, like any kind of buffalo chicken dip or some kind of fried mac and cheese balls or things like that. That makes people go, ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah. Now, it is comfort. It is. It's decadent, but it's comfort. Yeah. Desserts too, but I think definitely appetizers are the thing I like to do most.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And it is a lot of creativity around that. Can you tell us one of your kind of exclusive recipes, something that's very unique to
exclusive recipe? My goodness. Let's see. Well, let's see. What was actually passed down from my family is my grandmother from Sicily made this thing called spaghettas, which is basically a meatball with a cube of provolone in the middle. It's got breading on the outside, and it's one of those things I grew up with, and it's kind of fun. And stuffed mushrooms. Another thing I like to do is it's a Parmesan Artichoke Dip. It's a warm dip that you dip with rice crackers, and it's very nice. But I think those are the ones that are always like the stalwart one, the ones that you always bring with you.
Gotcha.
To events because people don't like them. Most recent one is buffalo chicken dip, which I think is my new miracle food when you need to please people, and it kind of does the trick.
Buffalo chicken dip. Yeah, no, that definitely sounds good. Always good for parties. Now, you mentioned some of the events and so forth. So, you've managed also not only to have a cookbook, but you've also kind of parlayed that into doing some catering as well, correct?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do that from time to time when people need it, and I enjoy it. It's fun to do, and I just wish I had more of a system. But actually, I've done catering for art gallery openings, sometimes for movie sets, which is kind of like second nature. That was the one thing I did most recently, was for an art gallery on Long Island in Roslyn, of all places, and it was a Christmas party. So yeah, it's one of those things where if people need me, I can just limit. I will figure it out for you.
Right. Now, for someone who is, an artist and also perhaps, is good at cooking or interested in getting into the catering field, what kind of advice would you have for them? Like, what are some of the important things they need to consider?
Well, for getting into catering, I think definitely, no matter what you do, you've got to be really focused. You can't just kind of dabble in it. You got to go in completely professional. You can't treat it like it's just a little hobby gig. I mean, you have an absolutely professional attitude, even if it's something you're doing part-time or here to there. So always do your absolute best no matter what. And you never be soft-pedaled about it. Right. And I think it's like for basically any kind of art form or business or industry you're going into, be completely 100% focused and committed. Because if you aren't passionate, if you aren't that way, it's just not going to, you're not going to last very long. You're going to fizzle out soon, and your work won't be that great. So I think what I've learned is, whenever you choose something, make sure that's the one you really, really care about, because you have to be 500% with it. So focus, commitment, and passion. Correct. Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Which is the advice I gave myself when I did this play for Busch called CLEOPATRA. This is probably the first I worked with Tony Award-winning playwrights and actors, and they're wonderful people. But when I went in, I said to myself, this isn't a horror movie. This isn't something that handfuls of people are going to see. This is something, very important. So you must give 500% of yourself at all times. So that's my attitude. When something is really important, you just go into overdrive. Right. Now that's got to be a lot. That's got to be taxing on you when you're that way. What kind of things do you do to kind of chill out and recharge? To chill out, I'm finding as I'm getting older, you need to rest more. You need to try. I know it's not hard, but try not to multitask as much. I mean, try not to stuff too many things to one morning. Even though like you as a parent, I've known you for a long time. You and your wife are always doing a million things, and that's not easy. But I find you have to limit yourself, because otherwise everything's going to get compromised and you're going to burn out. So allow yourself rest and allow yourself some fun. Even you may not need it, but you do need it. But I would say definitely try not to do 100,000 things at once, because everything will be compromised. So consider the mission and say no to some of the things that don't really go with that mission. Correct. Yeah, definitely. Right. And definitely find time to exercise one way or another, whether even if it's just a jog, walk, a swim. But that too, you need to do it. Just something just to keep your, as I say, the endorphins going. It's all those things come into play when you're stressed and you find yourself building, you gotta just take the time to decompress. Right. All right, you were listening to Tara Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is actor, producer, chef Joe Zaso. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. I was only 34 years old and the mother of 3 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was forced to make a decision about my health with few options. After my treatment, I made a commitment to provide help and inspire hope to those affected by breast cancer through early detection, education, and support services. I was fortunate to have resources and support through my journey, but so many facing breast cancer have to overcome the burdens of cost and fear alone. No one should face breast cancer alone. Today, NBCF has provided over 1 million early detection and patient navigation services so that women in need have access to these potentially life-saving resources. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org.
Welcome back to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is actor, producer, chef, and himbo, Joe Zaso. Joe, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, I mean, going into Hollywood and doing films, and then going into B films, and then becoming a chef, becoming an author, that's quite a ride. And it's pretty exciting stuff. Now, for people who are looking specifically on the author side of things, looking to get in as an author, it seems like there's so many different ways to do that now. I mean, what would you suggest to someone who's a budding author, how to get out there?
Well, definitely self-publishing is the way to go these days, especially with Amazon. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Even people like filmmaker Joe Pardo, who I work with, he writes books. Debbie Markowitz, who's the head of the Nassau County Film Commission, she writes books of her own, and a lot of doing it, including Rutanya Aldo when she did Mommy Dearest. It's just, I think writing is very exciting and liberating, and it's much easier than producing. It's something you can pretty much do anywhere. You just need to get the ball rolling, really. That's the most important part. But once you get going, it's exciting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know what? I also advise people sometimes when you're writing a book, it's a very singular connection, and that's something that on a personal level, when you connect with someone, when you're writing, it's really just you and the person reading you. So I think that's fantastic because it is all about relationships. And a lot of your success, and correct me if I'm wrong, has been from, making those relationships out in the field. I mean, to me, the work in Hollywood, the work in filmmaking, even the work in catering, it's all about the relationship you
Definitely. Everything ties together one way or another. It's like that whole 6 degrees of separation thing. It really, things just, it's amazing how everything ties together.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you're working on now.
Right now, the one project I am working on is the cookbook, and I'm also going to be assisting my friend Brian Norton with his book, which is on speaking of Long Island things, it's a book on the making of the Amityville horror movies, the first 3. It's called Get Out, the making of Amityville 1, 2, 3, and that hopes to be out the beginning of next year. So I'm going to be doing that as soon as my cookbook is finished. It'll be in a couple of weeks.
Gotcha. So, a lot in the book world. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, how do you keep yourself motivated to be doing all of this?
Keep motivated. I say rest is one thing, but just like I said, just having a positive attitude and kind of infusing humor into things. I always feel my life is like a sitcom without a laugh track. That's pretty much what I call it.
That's a good way to look at it.
So, yeah.
So juggling a lot.
It's like you almost want to look at a camera and say, "Can you believe this? Can you believe what's going on?" It's like like the latest Netflix comedy,
Now, what are the accomplishments? I guess let's start first with the film work. In your film work, what are the accomplishments that you're most proud of?
I mean, I'm very pleased with 5 Dead on the Crimson Canvas, which I did a while ago because it was just such a huge undertaking with no money, and that was one of those things I could never do again, I think, because it was just that was 24 when I did it. So, you change a little bit. Going to Germany to do the movie Barricade was a fun experience, and it was successful. I think that was financially the most successful movie I ever worked on, so that's another reason I was happy. And those particular 2 experiences, I think CLEOPATRA was also a big career thrill for me because it was like, you finally, it was Off-Broadway, but still you're working with big actors, so it was nice. And it was very, very short. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. It just kind of came and went in 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of work, and then boom, it's over. It's kind of like a Disney ride. You wait online all that time, and then boom, it's done.
That's it.
Now, how do you measure your success? Because you mentioned the Barricade film was, probably the most financially successful. How does a film like that? How do you measure its success?
Well, just the amount of units sold, for one thing, and the fact that it got all around the world and it was sold to Japan, it was dubbed in all different languages, and that's one thing. A lot of people were very into it when it came out, and that's what made it exciting, is that people were always talking about it at conventions. This was going back to 2007, I can't believe it. Wow. It was just such a good, and we have a lot of our friend Ted Gagan, he was one of the writers, producers on that, and he did so much PR work to build up, this whole kind of frenzy. That's one of the major things that helped him, and it was great because he did tremendous things with build up and the anticipation. Right. And what else can it was just a happy experience, and it was profitable and successful and happy. That's what made it. No projects that, unfortunately, and many aren't, but those are particular ones that were just nice.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting because a lot of those projects came in a day where, there was a lot of stuff that was coming out direct to video, and there seemed to be kind of a revolution in the early 2000s to 2010. Yeah. With so many other ways to distribute films and to promote yourself, what would you recommend for someone who's looking to promote themselves, either as an author or frankly, I guess it applies anywhere?
You have to be shameless. I have to say there's nothing wrong with promoting yourself all over the place. Technically, my major in college was advertising, so I always feel that we can't afford our own billboards, so you have to really, really, really have the gift of the gab to the point where you're almost annoying. But you can't just be, again, soft-pedaled. You have to inundate people with your message, whether it be on social media or however you can, and that's the way we do it. You have to build up little publicity campaigns or try to have some kind of, a launch party somewhere, or just some kind of emotional things to get your either your album or your book or your film seen. That's really what I think helps, is just building up this whole little arena around it to make it exciting, because it's not, there's just so many things out there. Why should anybody look at your... Half the time, as we know, advertising is what does it. It's how they lure you. Right. Even though you may have a perfectly good project that nobody knows about just because you don't know how to get the word out. And meanwhile, there's some lousy things out there that are going to succeed because they have the one-up.
Yes. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, and our guest today is actor, producer, chef Joe Zaso. So we're shameless. We got to be shameless to get ourselves out there.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
Now, the advertising that you do, and when folks will give the website towards the end of the show, but one of the things I find very impressive about your advertising is the quality of the images that you use. So how do you get the images, like the covers and the photos, how do you get those so nicely done?
Well, you have to work with good designers. You got people who cut and paste, with people who are artists who know you don't just just put things on the page. And above all, as someone once told me, all your images must be high res. Use nowadays where this technology is powerful. There's no excuse for that has to be the least of your problems, something like that. So, but above all, I think you need to work with people who are real artists and not just slopping something together because, again, what's going to make yours different from everybody else's? That certain touch that a real artist with it.
So no cut and paste jobs. It's got to be the good stuff. And
it's just too many people can do that.
The technology is such a double-edged sword because you really, you have access to all these great things that do so much. And I advertised a lot using meme generators and so forth. But, it's interesting because I think the technology can get you in a little trouble because if you don't take the time to get those extra high-res imagery and work with photographers and work with designers, you say, well, I could just do it on my cell phone. Nowadays, that's just not going to cut it if you want to stand out.
No.
Yeah.
And plus, the other problem is because same thing with film, is because technology is bigger and better than ever. It makes everyone think they can just make a film, and everyone thinks they can write a song. And it's there's more to it than just that. It's just the technology. You got to have that talent behind it, and really that's what's going to make it special. Because anyway, I'm finding more and more people say, "Oh, I got a new song," or "I got a new whatever," and anybody could make it sound good, but quality wise, but the soul of it is what you have to do on your own. That's what's special. That's why you got to have a special artistic touch to it, a certain soul underneath. Otherwise, it's, again, anybody can just do anything nowadays.
Yeah, I would agree. It's something. I think talent is a lot of it. I think tenacity, continuing to push. And of all the folks, all the business contacts I know and all the friends I have, I would say, that to me is like your number one defining trait is that you just keep at it, which is great. You just keep at it. You don't let it go.
Right, yeah.
And
I have my doubts. Believe me, I have my doubts.
Yeah, but you never doubt yourself. You keep moving forward. So I find that very admirable. Now,
thank you.
What's next? What's going on next for CAFE HIMBO?
Next year, just really, like I said, the book, that's really, and hopefully it will continue more books and things, but I'm going to enjoy promoting it and helping to have more little launch parties and things, and hopefully more acting gigs coming up, because right now, I find with my acting gigs, there's always a special role, like every 1 or 2 years. It's like something special comes up, and then it's, a little bit of quietness. Unlike the beginning of my career, I don't just do anything anymore. I used to do everything that was offered, no matter what it was, even if it was loud or low paying or whatever, but nowadays I'm a little more selective, so I'll pick the special things.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Well, it makes sense. You're focused on those 1 or 2 special roles a year, and in between, you have an undercurrent, certainly. You gotta make
a living. That's.
And what would you say if you had to say was the one thing that keeps you going? Like, what's the one thing that you say? If you're working really hard, maybe it's feast or famine with the acting, so something's dried up. It's hard to find work. What's the one thing that really keeps you going? You just say,
I can't allow my spirit to be broken. I've got to follow through. I can't, I'm not one to give up. So even if something, it seems like it's not going to work, you just got to keep going. That's the whole thing. It's like I just don't have the courage to give up because I don't want the embarrassment of it. So I just keep going and finish the job.
Now, I'll give you a lot of credit for the work that you do because, it's all you. But I would say there's also some support there. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the people that you work with, some of the people you depend on, like people like Beverly, and can you talk about that?
Well, fortunately, I do have a lot of friends in my life, people that do believe in working with me. They enjoy it. I guess they enjoy the spirit I have, so it kind of catches on with them, and they see that I'm not just slacking. I do things with when I set out to do something, I do a book or a film. I'm not just going to start it and then abandon it. So I guess they feel it's worth their time to help me. So we all help each other, and like I said, you have to almost have this kind of what you call it, I won't say insanity, but this is kind of hysteria, maybe mass hysteria is the word for it, just to get everyone motivated. They're all into it because, it's a synergy.
Right. And you got it. That spreads, and then but can you talk to us a little bit more specifically about some of the people that you've worked with and some of the contributions that they've made?
Well, I mean, pretty much like any of the filmmakers I've worked with. I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I would just say any filmmaker, producer, when I say along the way, it's hard for me with actual names because pretty much anyone who's worked with me has always been supportive. So if you want to just look at my body of work, I'd say everyone who's ever worked with me has been at least somewhat supportive.
Right.
And it's like, I think when they I have a reputation as getting things done, but I think when people hear that, that's what motivates them to want to work with me. So, like, if I call them, if they can fit in, they'll work with me.
Yep. So it's important. Team is definitely important, even if it's a so-called solo effort. And
correct.
So that having that support. So, all right. I would like to leave our audience maybe with one specific thought. If there's one thing that you wanted to leave our the fellow or the person who's listening out there, what would you want to leave that one person with? What a bit of advice?
What would I want to leave that person with? I know it sounds like a cliched motivation, but just give everything that's really important to you 500%. And just remember, in life, the things that matter the most to us, the things that really matter, are going to give us the most headaches. So don't let that scare you away, and something seems like, oh, what am I doing? Whether it be raising a family or making a film or whatever, the things that give you headaches the most are probably the things that are going to matter the most. So don't, give up.
Don't give up. Yep, I agree with you. Joe, thank you so much for being with us today. Now, I want to leave you with DB's philosophy. Tanisha Boston Hill, your job is to get the audience to care about your obsessions. And that's a quote from Martin Scorsese, I think appropriate with Joe. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Tanisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. The creative director of Tower Talk Business Radio is Rudy Breedy. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week.